Welcome to episode 2 of our podcast. I'm Gabriella,
I'm Beckett.
and today we'll be updating you on what's been going around in the school.
Hi. So, as far as updates go, there haven't been many, but the few that we have had are enormous. These are just monumental changes that have shook the foundation of everything we know. Nothing I've ever seen in my 17 years in life have been as important as this. Not a single election, not a single ruling, nothing. Nothing has been as important as this change. And it has to do with the new student orientation. Get this. The name's been changed. Huge. I know. It's absolutely just ground-shakingly. It's an incredible revelation. I've never seen anything like it before. But things that haven't changed. The open house is going to be held on April 2nd, and we are still looking for students to come help us out. If you've already signed up, we appreciate you immensely. But if you haven't, you can come help us to get over 70 families excited to come join us at Merancas. You can help with greeting, student panel, or if you just want to do custodial work, float around, talk to people, just give the kids something to look forward to. That would be an enormous help, and I think all of us would really appreciate it. But that's enough from me. Gabby, mind telling them what's coming up this episode?
So, our segments coming up are News with Samuel Huang. We will be having Debate Corner with Yasser, David, and Kai. And then we'll be having Pop Culture with me, Beckett, and Elise. And then lastly, we'll be having Man on the Street with again Sam. So Sam, please take it away.
Thank you, Beckett and Gabby. I'm Sam with the News Corner today. And today I'm going to start off with news I actually care about first of all. For example, F1 season is back for the new year. F1 2025 just jumped to a start last weekend at China. They had the Chinese Grand Prix. It was awesome. I watched everything live middle of the night because that's the only time it's broadcasted. But yeah, it's kind of tragic. Ferrari, I know everybody knows Ferrari. I don't care about the specifics. But like Ferrari, you guys know about Ferrari? Yeah, I know you guys love Ferrari. Ferrari got all their drivers disqualified first thing because the most expensive drivers in history, and they both got disqualified. All right, okay, some actual news now because I don't think I'm allowed to go on too long about that. NASA's doing some crazy stuff recently, and NASA's trying to build houses on Moon now. That's just gonna actually wait. That might be better. Imagine the prices of houses on Earth; they probably drop because imagine houses in Moon, dude. The market value of houses on Earth will drop, right? Because the more houses on Moon, they're more expensive. Because imagine the trip, how much fuel that costs. So yeah, cheaper housing in 2035, hopefully. Anyways, so they're preparing to live on Moon already for a year, and they're already preparing for the rockets and all of that stuff. Some not so fun NASA news. 2 NASA astronauts were finally back to Earth after a 9-month mission on ISS space station because they were delayed by 9 months. They actually were supposed to be back by August 2024, but they just got back March this year. And we're actually able to study a lot about what anti-gravity does to human body, and it's very not fun. Imagine like your bones made out of paper and your muscle made out of rubber bands. That's how it is, because I don't know the science stuff. I'm just here reporting the news. But the worst part is that they don't get overpay. They don't get overtime pay, dude. Imagine working 9 months over your contract and you don't get any pay for that. I'd sue Loki. Okay, and some funnier news. AI chatbots are everywhere. We see them everywhere in customer service. Like you pull up to Taco Bell, you can order 200,000 bottles of water, and they do it for you. So it's kind of everywhere, and it's becoming an issue actually, because some companies have actually reported issues that like online chatbots for customer services, especially, have started to go rogue, because some people are really hard to deal with. To the fact that some AI chatbots are reported to be insulting customers and telling them to make better life choices. Alright, anyways, some, relevant news. So Tesla is having their largest recall ever, as a matter of fact, because they have some Cybertruck issues. Yeah, so Cybertrucks are being recalled as of now because of a detaching side rail that's causing problems and safety hazards on roads for some reason. Yeah, so that's not great, and that's just one part of the issue Tesla has, because there's around the biggest call to action by activists against Tesla, and they're planning to do it by March 29th. So I guess when this podcast is out, it's already done. But they're planning to commit 500 demonstrations at Tesla showrooms worldwide. I mean, they call it demonstrations. I'd call it the vandalism, I guess, because NASA showrooms across the country have currently been vandalized and wrecked because they're throwing Molotov cocktails in them and lighting lithium batteries on fire. And this has caused Tesla stocks to drop by nearly 40%. I guess good on Musk. Anyways, last one, some sports news. Boston Celtics sold for $6.1 billion. I don't even know what sport this is actually. This is NBA. Yeah, okay. Boston Celtics sold for $6.1 billion in NBA, and it's the largest transaction in NBA history.
Thank you, Samuel. That was really informative.
Welcome back to Debate Corner. I'm Kai, and we have two new co-hosts.
I'm David.
I'm Yasser.
And today's question is, should AI be used in school? Now, for me, personally, my stance is that it should be used in school. The main point of school is to teach people how to act in the workforce. And with AI being so big, we definitely need to have lessons on not only how to use AI, but also an understanding of what its purpose is. And this really kind of calls back to something within school, math. In math, you're not really punished for using a calculator the same way that you're punished for using AI. These are both tools that are meant to aid you in learning, aid you in completing your tasks more quickly. But you still have to learn how to do it without that tool. And that's my ultimate stance. Learn how to use it, but also how to act without it.
So I agree with you to a certain degree, because we all know AI is becoming a huge thing. It's ever since its release, it's been in everything. It's going to start becoming bigger and bigger. It's going to be a huge type of wave in the workforce industry. It's going to take over a lot of people's jobs. It's going to be starting to be used in all types of different jobs. So I feel like having children educated in how AI could help them and benefit them in their future jobs is definitely something they should know. But children still need to know the fundamental education, like English, writing. I'm sure AI can help with all of that, but we can't fully rely on it. They still need to know the basics and stuff. So I feel like AI needs to be limited to a certain degree in schools and can't be used for everything.
I feel like AI as a whole in education should not be used because the pros of AI don't really outweigh the cons, which is AI will still be used to cheat. No matter what you teach students, they'll want to cheat with it, and you can't stop them from doing that. And by saying they can use AI as a tool, they can make themselves think, oh, it's not really cheating because they say I can use it. And another thing is, currently AI still has a lot of flaws, and the code in it can't really compute most math problems, and when it gathers data from websites, it still takes websites that aren't credible, like Reddit and threads like that. So it'll spit out information that doesn't really help the student, but just misinforms them.
See, I agree with his stance as well, because AI is definitely something you can't really control over in school, because children are going to find some roundabout way of using AI to cheat, and that's not really something you can kind of stop. But I feel like children are responsible for themselves. So if they want to cheat, that's up to them. They're ruining their own future. AI, I feel like it should be allowed to a certain degree, like I was saying. And then the kids who properly use AI are those that will kind of be more successful in the future. So it's kind of up to them to be responsible on how they use AI.
So when it comes to the cheating point, we saw the exact same arguments be made when it came to adding computers into school. But nowadays we have methods of limiting computer access. Think Respondus browser, where they lock you out of so much, they record you, and you're able to take a test and limit cheating. Because of this, we had to see this massive change when it came to computers, calculators, even books were considered cheating once upon a time because they thought that if you have books, why memorize information? So overall, we're seeing those exact same arguments have been used in the past. And every time we found a way to limit them, to change the way that we actually teach, to further education and further people's understanding of these new technologies.
I feel like when it comes to ways to stop AI and cheating, right now it's terrible because if you ask AI to write an essay and compare that to an essay a student has written, most of the times the AI detectors can't really tell the difference. And there's been a lot of cases of students' work, like the work they did, getting flagged for AI. Recently, there was a student whose essay got flagged for AI, and the college they attended threatened to kick them out. But they had proof that they did their essay, so they were able to resolve the issue. But if they didn't have proof, you can check histories and Word docs to show you did the essay. But if you don't have that, then you could get kicked out for just doing your work.
See, I feel like that's a very valid argument. I've heard many kids, their essays getting flagged for AI usage when clearly a lot of them you can tell it doesn't have AI in it. It's very definitely possible for a human to come up with something like that. So I feel like this is one of those type of reasons that kind of outweighs the pros. One of the cons that outweighs the pros of why AI shouldn't be in school, because I feel like a lot of kids are going to have issues with this in the future.
So, one more thing about AI. AI is actually also able to be used as a tool, as a tutor to provide more one-on-one education for students. A huge thing is, like you said, the data sets that AI are using can be skewed. But if we start to move towards these tutors where you're actually able to choose what information is fed in, you can effectively make a really good academic tutor that is able to help students learn based on their style. It also would help teachers when it comes to lesson plans and getting more time to work with the students, which is something that there's been calls for that for years. There's been this need for change within education when it comes to this. And AI might be the exact thing that we need to enact that change. And we're seeing those tutors start to pop up. Specifically, Khan Academy, their GPT-4 tutor has been implemented and has, from what I've seen, had quite a bit of success.
So I'm thinking, right? Then eventually AI is gonna get more powerful. It's gonna be more powerful, and what if they start replacing teachers? What's stopping them from replacing teachers altogether and start teaching everybody? It's AI is taking over the world type thing.
So, one thing that I learned from being online, a lot of students need teachers to truly learn. A lot of kids aren't getting the proper education they need, and they're struggling when it comes to tests because of online teachers. So that's the exact same thing with AI. They need the face-to-face education, and especially in this setting, we've seen people offered online learning at their own pace and turned it down for in-person learning that is at a very specific pace, designated by the teacher.
But see, I feel like it's very different for each individual person. They have different learning styles and different things like that. Me personally, I've experienced plenty of learning styles. I've done online school. I've done online live type schools. I've done in-person type schools. I feel like every person kind of has their own styles. What if a person, majority more people start going towards AI as a teacher? Maybe there's going to be a new course or something that has AI as teachers. Won't teachers run out of jobs? What's the problem with that?
So it is an interesting argument to be made. I don't think teachers are going anywhere because, again, they're necessary. We've seen how important one-on-one, in-person education has been. So I don't think that that's going to be as much of an issue, but I do see it as a possibility.
Oh, one thing about the AIs, if it's implemented into schools, some schools don't have the access to technology that can harbor AI, and if they needed to, it would cost a lot for the school districts, and schools already don't have funding, so it would be hard to implement into schools.
So I feel like what Yasser says there is probably gonna, with this, like, you're not able to implement AI into all schools, I feel like it's gonna create quite a large gap between education. Because, like, the more educated will probably have a higher paying jobs, and, like, the wealth gap, like, the economy gap, it's gonna be greater. It's gonna, like, affect the whole future and, like, the whole system.
That's completely fair. But then there's also the point of this change that I brought up that we really desperately need when it comes to education. For years, the entire point of education has been kind of muddled by the methods that have been used. Specifically, the typical 8 hours, you go in person for that entire time. We're seeing kids resent that and truly not take what they need to from the schools. And it's showing a desperate need for change, especially tutors.
So you're saying AI should be integrated into schools because it can. I mean, I kind of agree with this because AI can definitely come up with a better study plan that fits a person better. Because AI can definitely like create a plan because maybe some people don't like really long study sessions or like classes. Like AI can actually like split it up and actually like split up the work to make it more comfortable for that person, more personalized. So it maximizes the ability for a person to study. But like that is kind of replacing teacher kind of like some people's jobs. Like I know like AI is gonna definitely take over jobs. Like it's gonna definitely impact our future, and as population increases, like the gap between the wealthy and the not so wealthy is just gonna increase. It's just
That's a completely fair
Good point.
argument.
Good point.
Yeah, so I feel like the system will definitely need some like fine tuning, but AI definitely needs to be limited to a certain degree. Otherwise, like I feel like our whole system of jobs, education can all kind of feel toppling over. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like AI should definitely be used in schools. It's a no-brainer right now to push for that.
I mean, you can't really stop it either. It's,
Yeah.
it's kind of wave, like a huge wave taking over that you really just can't stop.
I feel like if AI were to be implemented, there would probably be still a long time from now for it to be effectively used in schools.
But I see it being used pretty efficiently, like day to day. Like me personally, I've used it because like I can use it to like create outlines for my essays. Like it's a very useful, very useful tool. But like there's a certain degree to how far you can use it to, because like you don't want to copy and paste a whole essay that maybe ChatGPT wrote and like change a couple of words so it becomes slightly undetectable. Like that's basically blatant cheating, and it's not helping you in any way. Maybe it helps you to know how to use AI better. Like I feel like in that future where like in your future jobs, that's not gonna help you in any way. Like you still need to know how to do these things, but AI can just be a tool, like a stepping stone you can use to help you achieve something greater.
Yeah. And as you said, people have started using it. Even I've been forced to use it for certain assignments within certain classes. The push for AI has been truly hitting schools. So we just have to wait and see where it goes.
True, and I feel like the mix between AI and real is just gonna become bigger and bigger. You can't really tell the difference anymore because I feel like if someone was to not use AI, I feel like the standard will get higher and higher because kids start using AI. Like there's Grammarly that helps you with grammar. It's like some kid who's actually putting a lot of work into their own essay, but like they make more mistakes because like someone else has Grammarly that like helps them with all their like brainstorming, grammar checks. I feel like the standard for how well things should become, like maybe essays, how well essays should be, is just gonna get like higher standard. So like those who actually put a lot of effort in, it's gonna like kind of be left behind, no? It's like everybody's gonna have to be forced to convert to using AI, kind of.
Yeah. So that was the debate corner, and now let's push it over to pop culture panel.
Hi, welcome to the Merancas podcast. We're doing the pop culture segment. Today's topic is the rebranding of Twitter. We're going to go over the history, the rebranding, then we're going to answer questions about the censorship and the freedom of speech. Gabby, can you start us off with a brief history?
Okay. Twitter was first created in March 2006 by Noah Glass, Evan Williams, Biz Stone, and Jack Dorsey, who was the previous CEO before Elon Musk bought it in 2023. When when it first started out, nobody really used it, and it gained popularity in 2010, going from 300,000 tweets per day in 2008 to 50 million tweets per day in 2010. Recently enough, in 2022, on January 23rd, 31st, Elon Musk started buying shares from Twitter with the goal of buying the platform and rebranding it to X. In July of 2023, he finally rebranded. The reason he rebranded it, or tried to buy, or acquired Twitter, was to combat the censorship on there. But it looks like there is more censorship with Elon. Beckett, would you like to elaborate on that?
The censorship I do know a little bit about, but when he acquired Twitter, funny enough, he actually bought it for $44 billion, which was more than it was actually valued at. Partly because of the way that he went about buying it, but also because he was so open about buying it. The executives of the company actually jacked up the price so that he'd have to pay more. But as far as the censorship went, Elon, because it was a really messy transition of ownership from the previous owners to Elon. And so because of how uncertain and kind of rocky it was, he lost a lot of monetization. Twitter, up until that point, had mostly made its money off of ads, running advertisements the way that like a public television network would. But because they lost all of those ads and the fact that Elon bought it for so much, I think over a little bit under half his net worth at the time. I could be wrong about that, but it's pretty close. He needed a way to monetize Twitter and monetize it quickly. So he looked at the verification system that Twitter had in place. Verifications were basically a way to say, this account is legitimate, they are who they say they are, they do what they say they do. And so he turned that into basically a way to monetize. And so he implemented something called Twitter Blue. Twitter Blue was, for all intents and purposes, verification as a monthly subscription. You would pay $8 a month and you would get this blue little check mark on your account that was supposed to be a verification. Only problem with that was anybody could buy it. So there are two problems. That was one of them. Anybody could buy it, and so people started posing as others, like political figures, important people. People would make accounts posing as them, buy Twitter Blue to make it look like they were the real one, and then just start posting outrageous things. Like you could look it up. It was hilarious. It was so fun to be on Twitter during that time. But there was actually a bigger problem with that has to do with censorship. In that Twitter Blue was effectively whitelisting. Anybody who had Twitter Blue, and this also kind of helped with the identity theft bit of it, is that it would actually push Twitter Blue with priority over anybody that did not have that verification. So if I had Twitter Blue and somebody else didn't, and I tweeted something that was just as important, I had the same number of followers, I had the same everything as the other person, Twitter Blue would give me priority. So they would see my tweet where they wouldn't see the other person's. So it was priority. So it was like a system of whitelisting that actually fed into it kind of foreshadowed some of the Twitter censorship issues that I'm sure Elise would love to talk about.
I guess the biggest thing is like during the election, basically how he kind of made it more conservative point of views. Like he banned a lot of like liberal and democratic accounts. There was also like this one account that was like an account that was solely just to make fun of him. He banned that account.
Oh, wow.
It was like crazy. There was also like a lot of like misinformation going on, whereas like kind of Twitter in the past did have more of censorship, like it would like flag it as misinformation or whatever it may be, but like this it didn't. There's like a lot of deep deep fake stuff going on with like AI. It was just like a whole mess, honestly.
Yeah, I think he also removed some community notes, or a few community notes that were pointing out inaccuracies or like spreading something that wasn't conservative point of views. And also the ads on Twitter have also gotten way more conservative. Like you'll scroll for like maybe a minute and you'll see like 6 different ads for like Trump merch, Republican merch, MAGA stuff.
goodness.
Like I've seen his dark MAGA hat so many times.
What is?
It's his
dark
black
MAGA?
MAGA hat. It's his black
Oh
MAGA hat
my
that
God,
he wore.
isn't it like
It's the emo MAGA hat.
emo
The
MAGA?
emo MAGA hat.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
I do find it funny how that something else that kind of piqued my interest that you mentioned. I'm not really seeing too much about the Cybertruck.
Ooh.
It's funny enough how that it's not really on Twitter all that often. You know, you don't really see that much about it. Interesting, huh?
Did you hear that they set like 13 on fire? Like,
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's
I
protesters.
heard
That, like protesters
that
don't like him, and they're
so
also
many people. Yeah.
there's tons of flaws with the Cybertruck.
It's so
So
ugly
much
too.
that 100% of Cybertrucks are being recalled.
Really?
For what?
So recently, the most recent problem that kind of came about, there were tons before. Like they were wildly unsafe on the roads. They were incredibly heavy, massive, horrible crumple zones. So either you or the other person would take all of the impact. Traffic safety like barriers wouldn't work because they're too big, too heavy, too weirdly shaped. The problem with electricity is if the batteries dies or the battery's faulty or connection shorts for a second, you can't steer, you can't gear shift, you can't brake, you can't do anything.
So if
just
you're
don't-
like driving, all of a sudden, boom.
basically, you can, and it wouldn't even be a driver error. It would, especially with the self-driving. But the self-driving's weird. The self-driving's a whole another can of worms. But
I heard they were like also peeling, like the trucks. Yeah.
that's what was happening. Was
They're,
that
like, peeling off.
side panels on the car, because of how it works and because of how the Cybertruck was paneled and made, side panels or like just panels of the car were peeling off while I was driving, and it would fly backwards, and it was basically just creating flying debris on a road, which if you don't know is really dangerous.
Yeah, that's awful.
That's an interesting side tangent that only has to do with Elon, but yeah, I think that's all. That should be. I think that's all we have for today on pop culture. But yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Hello, I'm Samuel, and I'm doing Men on the Street, and I have
Rosie,
Junior, and I have a question for you today.
what's your question?
Do you think a taco is a sandwich?
No,
Why?
it's not. Shouldn't be considered a sandwich.
Why?
Because a sandwich is bread. Taco is not bread at all.
It made out of the same thing. They have flours involved.
But
2 flours on both sides, you see?
Is a quesadilla a sandwich?
Yeah.
No, definitely not either.
How? 2 pieces of what? Not carbohydrates in between.
Quesadillas one, and also you have to add ham and all that. Quesadillas are mostly just cheese. Sandwiches have ham, mayonnaise, and
Okay,
everything.
what about just plain cheese then? Like, what if you just got a
A
grilled cheese sandwich
sandwich?
and a cheese quesadilla?
Then you're just
They're the same
boring.
thing.
No,
They're
they
the same
taste,
thing.
but they taste way different though.
Alright, so this is. I'm Samuel again, and this is Liz, and I'm gonna ask you a question today. Cats or dogs?
I prefer cats, even though I had my dog for longer, cause my cat's more fun. Yeah,
Cat scratch though.
I mean I like that.
What?
This is Rosie replacing Samuel now. I'm here with Havana and Hannah. The question I have for you guys is cats or dogs, and why?
I choose dogs because cats are ugly and sneaky.
I choose cats because I disagree with Havana.